To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
Welcome to this gallery of Sleeping Beauty layout and background art. Throughout this gallery, you'll see individual background paintings that were created using the layout line drawing as a guide. Once a scene is approved in storyboard phase, a layout is created. The layout is a blueprint for the composition of that scene. The movement or path of a character is often plotted on the layout to guide the animator in placing the character within the scene. Layouts also establish the basic camera angles and camera movement. Layouts serve as a guide for creating the background art. Background paintings are created after the pencil animation for a particular scene is completed and all the mechanics of character movement and camera angles have been worked out. Presented here are layouts accompanied by their corresponding backgrounds. Notice the detail in this layout drawing for King Stephen's throne room. The layout artist determines the staging of action by indicating the space in which the animated character will move. Layouts are essentially blueprints for the animation backgrounds. Walt Disney commented on producing Sleeping Beauty in widescreen technorama process by noting that the big screen imposed tremendous added labors on the artists. They had to move their characters in large fields of action. The mathematical calculations became even more intricate. The layout artist was more important than ever in calculating the space needed for the planned animation. This drawing by layout artist Joe Hale demonstrates how the intricate detail of Sleeping Beauty called for highly rendered layout drawings. Here, the details include a rose pattern on Briar Rose's bedspread.
Though this looks like a page from a coloring book, it's really a layout drawing to study how the fairies will move around the still figure of the Sleeping Beauty.
The complexity of the setting, action, and number of characters in the scene in which the characters in the courtyard are put to sleep called for careful planning at the layout stage. The layout artist worked closely with the sequence directors to plot out the camera work and action of each scene. The scenes, including the complex forest of thorns, presented a challenge. Layout artist Victor Habouche spent 3 weeks working out the problem of perspective by drawing the thorns so that they overlapped each other. His solution worked so well that he was drawing thorns for weeks afterward. If you compare this background with the preceding layout drawing, you can see that the background artist fulfills the promise of the layout by bringing it to life. Note the eerie mist added by the background painter. The flat shapes and patterns of the nobility and gentry form an elegant backdrop for the main action in this background painting of King Stephen's throne room. The strong vertical and horizontal lines of Sleeping Beauty's production design are evident in this handsome background painting. Production designer Ivan Earle even carried the horizontal pattern out in the trees, giving the film one of the trademarks of its style: square trees. Anywhere from a week to 10 days was required to complete one of these densely detailed background paintings. A normal animation background from a more conventionally styled feature required about a day of painting time. The harmony of character and background in design, color, and line can be seen in this character and background combination. Production artist Ivan Earle painted many of the production backgrounds himself. Earle had to teach the other Disney background artists how to layer the details so that they would each paint every background in the same style. In scenes where the good fairies are miniaturized, the backgrounds serve to increase the illusion through scale. Here, the chain links outside Maleficent's castle are shown as enormous, emphasizing the small size of the fairies and the threatening atmosphere of the setting. To view an image full screen, select the magnifying glass icon. To view the pages in the book, select Continue. To return to the main gallery menu, select Exit. To see these directions again, select Help. The storybook used as the opening and transitional device in Sleeping Beauty was actually a three-dimensional prop. Presented here are the cover and the complete illustrations from the storybook. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To view an image full screen, select the magnifying glass icon. To browse images, select Next. To return to the main gallery menu, select Exit. To view an image full screen, select the magnifying glass icon. To browse images, select Next. To return to the main gallery menu, select Exit. A Sleeping Beauty attraction opened at Disneyland on April 29, 1957, nearly 2 years before the opening of the film. In this attraction, visitors walk through the interior of the Sleeping Beauty castle, observing a series of dimensional dioramas which tell the story of Sleeping Beauty. Ivan Earl created a series of thumbnail paintings for the original Sleeping Beauty walkthrough attraction. Because this art was designed and executed at the time Sleeping Beauty was in production, it was an extension of the concept art and backgrounds being created for the film itself. The original attraction, designed by Ivan Earl and Ken Anderson, was removed in 1977 and replaced with a new Sleeping Beauty walkthrough. All that remains of the original Sleeping Beauty walkthrough is the following set of concept paintings. To view an image full screen, select the magnifying glass icon. To browse images, select Next. To return to the main gallery menu, select Exit. To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
Welcome to this gallery of concept art and design studies. Concept art is created to help the filmmakers arrive at a final look for an animated feature. Every Disney animated feature is built on artistic and aesthetic influences from the entire history of art. Many influences can be cited in the visual development of Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty was unusual in the Disney canon, as the overall visual styling of the feature was entrusted to one artist, Ivan Earle. Earle's distinctive style was influenced by the work of such artists as Van Eyck, Bruegel, Dürer, Giotto, and Botticelli. In addition, Earle cites as influential such diverse inspirations as Gothic architecture and tapestries, the medieval illuminations of the Book of Hours of the Duke of Berry, Japanese art, and Persian miniatures. In these galleries, much of the art was executed by Ivan Earle.
This title card painting features the story of Sleeping Beauty in miniature. How many characters and situations can you recognize?
Exploring a visual approach quite different than the one ultimately taken for Sleeping Beauty, this 1953 pastel was created by Kai Nielsen, a Disney concept artist best known for the styling of the Night on Bald Mountain segment of Fantasia.
An artist named Ivan Earle made this painting to study what kinds of shapes and colors he would use in Sleeping Beauty.
In this exquisite concept painting, production designer and stylist Ivan Earle combines flat shapes and planes of color with decorative detailing, a startling look that would become the style of Sleeping Beauty.
Ivan Earle, the main designer of Sleeping Beauty, created about 300 paintings like this one to set the color and style of the movie.
The opulent pageantry of the film's opening procession to King Stephen's castle was determined by this inspirational pre-production painting, complete with flying flags and horse-mounted knights in armor. Decorative patterns are used in different ways throughout Sleeping Beauty. One of the most unique uses of a floral motif is during the good fairies' bestowal of their gifts. These unique, dreamlike visions are explored in the conceptual paintings in this grouping. The rose motif is used throughout the film, both visually, as in the vision conjured up by the gifts of the good fairies, and thematically. Aurora is called Briar Rose, and roses have thorns, foreshadowing the forest of thorns that will surround the castle where Aurora will sleep. The use of contemporary design is evident in this stylized portrait of Princess Aurora. The appearance of Aurora in the fairies' magical visions deliberately differs from her appearance in the rest of the film, so various styles were explored in concept art such as this drawing. The adroit use of gray in this concept art exploring the bestowing of the gift of song elegantly suggests pre-dawn.
The Disney artists used very simple art for the visions conjured up by the good fairies as they gave their gifts to the baby princess. This helped these sequences look and feel very different from the rest of the movie.
This art suggests how Maleficent, on her way to the celebration of Aurora's birth, could streak across the sky as a sinister, almost formless presence, a concept not used in the final film, where the evil fairy arrives with a blast of wind and a bolt of lightning.
Using very simple shapes and colors, the Disney designers tried to make the vision of Maleficent's curse feel hopeless and frightening.
This study of the three good fairies in the woodcutter's forest cottage echoes the flat graphics and intricate patterns of a medieval tapestry. This pre-production art was painted by Ivan Earle, who studied tapestries and other medieval art for inspiration in designing the distinctive look of Sleeping Beauty.
Ivan Earle and the other Sleeping Beauty designers tried to make everything in the movie look very ordered and stately, even this forest. Did you notice that even the treetops look trim and uniform?
Painted by Ivan Earle, this ornate test background of the woodcutter's cottage emphasizes the strong verticals used by Earle in designing the film.
Can you tell how the woodland cottage you see in the movie differs from this early test painting? In the movie, the cottage is built into a huge tree. In concept art, the Disney artists are always trying to find the best way to tell a story through pictures. Here is a good example of storytelling in a painting. It shows in one picture the evil fairy, the setting sun, and the spinning wheel, all things that are part of the curse that will put Princess Aurora into her enchanted sleep.
This early painting of the film's central image of the beauty asleep harkens back to the original fairy tale in which Aurora slumbers for 100 years before the spell is broken. Notice that her hair has grown long, and the thorns that surround the castle have grown into the tower room and enveloped the spinning wheel. These plot details were eventually modified for the Disney version of the tale, so that Aurora is asleep for only one night. Many of the film's most imaginative visual ideas were developed out of Ivan Earle's simple, direct staging of moments such as a good fairy's glowing wand used as a torch to investigate the darkness of Maleficent's domain. Earle's use of large areas of color with minimal detailing in these styling paintings evolved into the elaborate embroidery of the production backgrounds.
Here is another of the many paintings created by Ivan Earle to determine a style for the film. He later said that working for Walt Disney was one of the best jobs he ever had because he was paid to paint all day. Would you like a job where you got paid to draw or color or paint all day too?
The purpose of concept art was to explore staging, setting styling, and various design possibilities. The personality and details of a character were often de-emphasized, as in this striking concept painting of Prince Philip battling his way out of Maleficent's decrepit castle. In this startling modernist painting of Prince Philip's escape from the Forbidden Mountains, Ivan Earl demonstrates Maleficent's dark control of nature by portraying both a dimmed sun and an eclipsed moon in the foreboding sky. Ivan Earl's concept art was instrumental in setting the epic scope of Sleeping Beauty. Nowhere is the importance of his vision more apparent than in these styling paintings of the sword and sorcery sequence of Prince Philip's battle to rescue Aurora. His goal is visually represented by the topmost tower of King Stephen's castle, soaring above the forest of thorns. Speaking of Ivan Earl, Walt Disney often referred to his unique styling. That singular visual viewpoint is very much in evidence in this conceptual painting. Note how the artist overwhelms Prince Philip by portraying the character as the smallest element in the composition. The tilted angle adds to the menacing atmosphere of this thorny environment.
This concept art shows how color can be used to create a mood or a feeling. Notice how the red light shining on Maleficent and her horned headdress makes her look very scary.
This concept art emphasizes the power of Maleficent's transformation into a terrifying dragon by visually portraying the transmogrification like a nuclear bomb blast, a stronger visual statement than the concept of the dragon appearing in the sky and other visual development art found in this gallery. Note how the artist has based the design of the dragon on elements of Maleficent's design, her horned headdress, winged collar, and reptilian eyes. Like every visual element of Sleeping Beauty, the flames breathed by the dragon are highly stylized. Thanks to the extensive design exploration in concept art such as this example, the flames are not realistic, but rather styled to complement the strong design statement of the rest of the film. To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
Welcome to this gallery of character designs. Here you'll discover art used to develop the animated cast of Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty. Developing the physical appearance for each character in an animated feature is a lengthy and continually evolving collaborative process. In the case of Sleeping Beauty, the challenge for the artist was to achieve a balance between realistic animation of the mostly human cast and the strong graphic stylization of the overall production design. Welcome. In this gallery, you'll discover character design art for Briar Rose and Princess Aurora.
Princess Aurora was the third fairy tale princess Walt Disney made an animated movie about. Can you name the two Disney princesses before Sleeping Beauty? That's right, they are Snow White and Cinderella.
Many variations of Princess Aurora in her woodland guise as Briar Rose were explored and rejected by the Disney artists, including this peasant costume that's reminiscent of a serving wench's outfit. In this study, character stylist Tom Oreb uses the shawl to frame and emphasize Briar Rose's face, as well as to add variety to her costume. The artist designed the shawl with vertical lines so as to blend the character into the stylized backgrounds with the strong vertical and horizontal lines of pre-Renaissance paintings. In these drawings, character stylist Tom Oreb designed a tall, graceful girl with facial features influenced by the beauty of Audrey Hepburn, who was a new film star at the time of Sleeping Beauty's development. Oreb was the first Disney artist to receive the credit of character stylist, indicating his influence on the design of the characters. Character stylist Tom Oreb's graphic style enabled him to design the perfect princess for Sleeping Beauty's stylized look. The artist designed Briar Rose's hair with vertical lines that married the character to the strong lines of the animation backgrounds. The character's long hair was also designed with a curving pattern of curling lines within it, helping define it as a shape swinging into place as Briar Rose moves and dances. Development artists often portray one character with another to explore how the personalities might interact. Here, we see early versions of Briar Rose and Prince Philip in a study that examines how the visuals of each character relate to the other. By drawing Briar Rose with her prince, the artist discovered new ways to further develop her design.
Many different costumes were designed for Princess Aurora before the final one was chosen. What kind of costume would you design? Would you make it pink, or blue, or another color?
Model sheets are used by the filmmakers to firm up the final design of an animated character. This example is by Mark Davis, Aurora's directing animator, who was responsible for the character's final design as well as her animation. Davis adapted his design from Tom Oreb's styling, giving Briar Rose a more mature face. Model sheets portray a variety of poses and facial expressions of a particular character, as drawn by the character's directing animator. Here, we see a number of poses for Sleeping Beauty, drawn by Mark Davis.
A character cell was often specially prepared as a color model to test against backgrounds and serve as a guide to the inkers and painters. At the time of Sleeping Beauty, every character was outlined in different colored inks and painted in many colors onto a clear cell by hand. And there could be dozens of colors.
To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
Welcome to this gallery of character design art for Maleficent and her servants of evil. You can trace the evolution of the evil fairy through the designs displayed here.
In the original Sleeping Beauty tale, the evil fairy was an old crone, as reflected in this early character concept design.
Early concepts of the evil fairy incorporated some design elements intended to make her seem more inhuman, such as the inclusion of antennae. In designing Maleficent, directing animator Mark Davis was influenced by a painting in a Czechoslovakian art book. The artist based his designs on flame-like shapes and triangular colors. This artwork and the following 6 drawings are by Mark Davis. In designing the Mistress of All Evil, directing animator Mark Davis said he thought of her as a giant vampire bat. The artist used the material around the evil fairy's face to give her a mask-like appearance, while the lines in her robe bring in the vertical motif that's such an important part of the overall design of Sleeping Beauty. Her snake-like train foreshadows the tail of the dragon she will later become.
One man, Mark Davis, was the directing animator for both the heroine of the story, Princess Aurora, and for its villain, the evil fairy Maleficent.
This 3-dimensional clay model of Maleficent's head was sculpted by directing animator Mark Davis to help him in visualizing the character from all angles. The dragon is combination lizard, snake, and dinosaur. The more rounded and detailed designs seen in these first 3 drawings were modified into a more graphic design to blend in with the overall style of the film.
Animator Eric Cleworth based the deadly darting of the dragon head on the movements of a striking rattlesnake. Disney technicians used the sound of flamethrowers from Army training films for the dragon's fire-breathing blasts.
Like the evil queen in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Maleficent has a raven. But this familiar has a much larger role to play. Designed by Mark Davis to complement the design of Maleficent, the raven is in almost every scene in which Maleficent appears. Inspired by the gargoyles that adorn a castle like Maleficent's fortress, the goons were created by story artist Bill Peet to act as the evil fairy's bumbling yet still menacing guards. Early versions of the goons were thought to be too cartoony to blend in with the rest of the film, so they were redesigned in the same graphic style as the other characters. To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
Welcome to the Character Design Gallery for the Three Good Fairies. Here, you'll find art that helped develop the visual appearance of Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather.
In the original version of The Sleeping Beauty, there were 7 fairies, but Walt Disney decided on a total of 3. He believed that a trio of characters made for a good team.
Designer Don DeGrady was the first to draw the Three Good Fairies with a winsome appeal. His breakthrough design was based on his observation that little old ladies wore their hats directly on top of their heads.
Ever wonder where Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather got their names? In early stages of development, the 3 good fairies were to have power over the domains of nature. Flora was in charge of plants and flowers. Fauna oversaw the animal kingdom, and Merryweather controlled the climate. Walt decided to abandon this approach to simplify the story and focus on the fairies' personalities. But the delightful names remained.
At first, Walt considered making the 3 fairies identical, but directing animators Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston felt that such an approach wouldn't be much fun. They set out to design Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather as distinct characters like dear maiden aunts. The designs by directing animators Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston succeeded in portraying 3 characters who thought alike but were still distinct individuals. The model sheet served as a guide for each of the artists who animated the fairies. This ensured that the characters remained visually consistent throughout the film. Two sets of costumes had to be designed for the fairies, one set for their usual life as royal magical beings, and the other for their life as mortal women raising Briar Rose in the forest. The first costumes are referred to as their castle garb, the second are called their peasant garb. To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
In these galleries, you'll find character design art for the royal families of Sleeping Beauty. Welcome to this gallery featuring character designs for Prince Philip and his noble steed Samson. Previous Disney princes had come off as rather stiff. Since the Sleeping Beauty prince had more of the story to carry than his predecessors, Walt Disney insisted that Prince Philip was to be as real as possible, near flesh and blood. Directing animator Milt Kahl gave Philip an ease and sense of humor, as well as bravery and nobility. Character stylist Tom Oreb's design of Samson was influenced by the drawings of British cartoonist and caricaturist Ronald Searle. Welcome. In this gallery, you can explore character designs for King Stephen and King Hubert. The two kingly fathers and future in-laws were designed to contrast with each other, reflecting their differing personalities. Short and stout King Hubert is the blustering, full-steam-ahead ruler, while tall and thin King Stephen is the more serious monarch. Welcome to this gallery, where you'll find character design art for the Queen. The Queen's role is to register emotion. She is sorrowful at her daughter's departure and overjoyed at her return 16 years later. Her design reflects the straightforward role she plays in the story. Welcome to this character design gallery, where you'll find art developed in the creation of King Stephen's lackey.
The lackey is sometimes called the court jester because he is the only purely comic character in the movie.
The lackey was given more dimension and the potential for more comic business by making him a minstrel. This also kept the character in tune with the film's musical nature, enabling him to actively participate in the score, adapted from Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty ballet by Disney composer George Bruns. Welcome to this character. To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
In this gallery, you can explore designs and sketches for the subjects of King Stephen's court. The flat styling and areas of pure colors in the designs for these animated extras truly capture the look and feel of a medieval tapestry, one of the main sources of inspiration for the unique styling of Sleeping Beauty. Character stylist Tom Oreb's highly graphic designs for King Stephen's subjects were virtually unchanged in the final film. Welcome. In these galleries, you'll discover character design art for Briar Rose's animal friends. These concepts for Briar Rose's owl friend by character stylist Tom Oreb served as a starting point for the character's final design. Like Briar Rose's hair, the tail of the woodland squirrel was designed to have its own three-dimensional feel. Note the OK by sequence director Eric Larson on this model sheet for the woodland rabbit. One of Walt Disney's top team of animators called the Nine Old Men, Larson had done some of his first and finest work on the forest creatures in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The angular cardinal and bluebird were designed by character stylist Tom Oreb. To view an image full screen, use the directional arrows on your remote control and press the Select Enter button. To browse images, use the right and left buttons on your remote control to move from one full-frame image to another. To return to the gallery page, press the Select Enter button. To return to the main gallery menu, press Menu on your remote control. To see these directions again, select Help on any of the menus. Images with the Good Fairy Flora icon provide commentary for adults.
Images with the crown icon provide commentary for kids.
Welcome to this gallery of storyboard art. A storyboard is a series of drawings, much like the panels of a comic strip, that serves to outline the action of the story. Storyboards act as a diagram for the filmmakers, defining the basic layout, action, and dialogue for each scene. Presented here is a sampling of storyboard art created for Sleeping Beauty.
Walt Disney once said, "Screenwriters have never been of much use to us. Our story artists think in terms of pictures. That's how we tell our stories, not with words." The artwork in this gallery shows how the Disney artists used drawings to create their version of the Sleeping Beauty story.
Sleeping Beauty was the first animated feature to be filmed in 70mm. New storyboard drawing paper was designed so the story artists could develop the action in the rectangular shape of the wide Technorama screen. Story sketches are rarely drawn in color. The story artists usually used graphite pencil, making effective use of black and gray gradations, as in this moody illustration of Maleficent's first chilling appearance. Storyboarding often starts with a key sequence to help the artists define the plot or the character relationships. By developing this sequence of Briar Rose meeting Prince Philip in the forest first, the story artists established the lead characters early in the process so that character design and animation could proceed.
The Disney story artists considered the meeting of Briar Rose and Prince Philip so important that they worked on it first. They called this sequence by the simple title, Boy Meets Girl.
Top Disney artist Bill Peet was one of the first storymen assigned to this important sequence of the meeting between prince and princess. Story artists focused on developing plot, action, and character business, or the often comical action to be fleshed out by the animators. Even in these unusually elaborate Sleeping Beauty storyboard sketches, details such as facial expression are indicated only when necessary to the developing action. These story sketches developed one of the unique twists in the Disney version of the famous fairy tale. Unlike the original, in which the beauty sleeps for 100 years until a prince happens along and breaks the spell, the Disney story has Maleficent plotting to keep Philip prisoner for a century. This has all been set up with careful story work that establishes Philip as Aurora's true love, and therefore the only one who can bestow the spell-breaking kiss.